My beloved child. Stop scrolling for just a moment. Some stories find people by accident. This one was searching for you. Take a deep breath, because what you are about to hear is a fictional inspirational story about hope, timing, and a love that refused to disappear. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. There are moments in life when everything appears ordinary on the outside, yet beneath the surface, countless unseen events are quietly aligning. This is one of those moments. Imagine someone standing by a window long after the lights of the city have faded. Not because they cannot sleep. Not because they have nowhere to go. But because every thought keeps leading back to one person. You. For days they tried to ignore it. For weeks they convinced themselves that silence was easier than honesty. For months they carried conversations that only existed inside their heart. Yet today, something changed. A single unexpected event reminded them that time never waits forever. They reached for their phone. Stopped. Put it down. Picked it up again. Typed your name. Erased it. Started over. If you've ever felt that someone was thinking about you without a single message arriving, this story is for you. Don't skip. Because the next part changes everything. Sometimes love isn't loud. Sometimes it hides inside ordinary moments. A favorite song suddenly playing. A familiar place appearing in an unexpected memory. A simple word that refuses to leave your thoughts. None of those moments force answers. But each one quietly asks a question. What if someone has been gathering courage this entire time? What if they are one decision away from changing both of your stories? Tonight, our story follows someone who believed they had already lost their chance. They replayed every conversation. Every goodbye. Every smile. Every opportunity they never took. Each memory became another reminder that fear often speaks louder than love. Until today. Because today they encountered someone unexpected. An elderly traveler sitting alone noticed the weight they carried. Without asking many questions, the stranger simply smiled and said, "Some doors remain closed only because both people are waiting for the other to knock first." Those words refused to leave their mind. For the first time in a very long while, hope quietly returned. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Hours later they opened an old notebook. Between faded pages rested a handwritten sentence they barely remembered writing years before. If life ever gives me another chance, I won't let fear decide for me. They stared at those words for several minutes. It felt less like reading, and more like remembering the person they once dreamed of becoming. The room grew completely silent. Outside, the rain gently tapped against the window. Inside, one decision slowly became impossible to ignore. Reach out. Or spend another year wondering what might have happened. Meanwhile, somewhere else, another heart was quietly hoping for an answer they had almost stopped expecting. Neither person knew the other was thinking the exact same thing. Yet both were standing at the edge of the same invisible bridge. Don't skip. Because this is only the beginning. Life has an unusual way of bringing people face to face with unfinished chapters. Not through dramatic miracles. Not through impossible signs. but through small moments that ask us whether we are finally ready to become braver than our fears. The story you're listening to isn't about perfection. It is about courage. It is about forgiveness. It is about choosing honesty before another opportunity slips away unnoticed. As the evening continued, the person who had been carrying these emotions looked once more at your name glowing softly across the screen. Their thumb hovered over the call button. 1 second passed. Then another. Their heartbeat became louder than every thought inside their mind. Would tonight finally become the night everything changed? Or would silence win once again? Stay till the end. Because the answer is much closer than it appears. The next chapter reveals what happened the very moment they finally decided that living with uncertainty was harder than speaking from the heart. And when that moment arrived, nothing unfolded the way anyone expected. A quiet decision can change an entire story. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The room remained completely still, yet inside their heart, everything was changing. Their finger rested above the call button for what felt like forever. Every memory they had tried to bury returned at once, not to create regret, but to remind them that genuine feelings never disappear simply because time has passed. They closed their eyes for a moment. Instead of thinking about what could go wrong, they began thinking about everything that had remained unsaid. That was the turning point. Not because the world suddenly became different, but because fear was no longer making every decision. At that exact moment, something unexpected happened. Before they could press the button, their phone lit up with a simple notification. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't extraordinary. Yet it carried words that felt strangely personal. Some opportunities return only when both hearts are finally ready. They stared at the screen in complete silence. Coincidence? Perhaps. Or maybe it was simply the reminder they needed to stop running from what mattered most. Don't skip. Because this story is only getting deeper. Across town, another person sat quietly, completely unaware that someone was gathering the courage to reach out. The evening breeze moved gently through the open window. Old photographs rested on a nearby table. One picture caught their attention. It wasn't a perfect photograph. It wasn't carefully planned. It captured nothing more than an ordinary smile during an ordinary day. Yet somehow, it became impossible to look away. Funny how the smallest memories often become the strongest ones. They smiled without realizing it. Then whispered softly, "I wonder how they're doing." Those simple words carried more honesty than they had allowed themselves to feel in months. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Meanwhile, the person holding the phone finally stopped asking, "What if they don't answer?" Instead, they asked a completely different question. "What if I never try?" That single question changed everything. Sometimes courage doesn't arrive with loud music or dramatic moments. Sometimes it arrives quietly. One calm breath at a time. Their heartbeat remained fast. Their hands still trembled slightly. But something inside them had become peaceful. For the first time, they realized they weren't reaching out because they expected a perfect ending. They were reaching out because truth deserved to be spoken. And truth has a remarkable way of setting heavy hearts free. Don't skip. Because what happened next surprised even them. Just as they prepared to make the call, another memory appeared. Not a painful one. A beautiful one. A conversation filled with laughter. A simple promise that neither of them had forgotten. A moment that proved genuine connections often survive longer than silence. That memory became the final piece they needed. No more waiting. No more wondering. No more hiding behind uncertainty. They smiled. Not because they knew what the future would bring, but because they finally understood something important. The greatest risks in life are often the chances we never take. The phone remained in their hand. The evening sky slowly darkened. Everything around them seemed to pause, almost as if the world itself was waiting to see what they would choose. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then, with one steady breath, they finally pressed the button. The screen changed. The connection began. One soft ringing sound echoed through the quiet room. Every second suddenly felt longer than ever before. Would the call be answered? Would this become the beginning of a brand new chapter? Or would another unexpected surprise appear before either of them could speak? The answer is closer than anyone imagined. And what happens next will reveal why this ordinary evening was destined to become unforgettable. Before a single word could be spoken, everything paused. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The phone continued to ring. Once. Twice. 3 times. Every passing second felt longer than the last. They almost convinced themselves to hang up, thinking perhaps the moment had come too late. Their heart whispered that silence would be easier. But then, the ringing stopped. A quiet connection had been made. Neither person spoke immediately. Sometimes the most meaningful conversations begin with silence, because silence carries emotions that words cannot always explain. On the other end, a slow breath could be heard. It wasn't nervousness alone. It was relief. Relief that the distance between two hearts had finally begun to disappear. For months, both had imagined this moment differently. They had rehearsed speeches, prepared explanations, thought of perfect words. Yet when the moment finally arrived, only one simple sentence mattered. I've been wanting to reach out for a long time. Those gentle words carried more honesty than any carefully prepared conversation ever could. Don't skip. Because the story is taking an unexpected turn. The response came after a brief pause. I was hoping you would. Neither of them expected to hear those words. For a moment, every fear that had kept them apart seemed much smaller than it had only minutes before. They laughed softly. Not because everything had suddenly become perfect, but because the weight they had both carried was beginning to lift. Outside, the evening breeze moved through the trees. Inside, old walls built from doubt were quietly falling away. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The conversation drifted through memories they hadn't visited in a long time. They remembered small acts of kindness. Moments that once seemed ordinary now felt priceless. A shared smile. An encouraging message. A promise that life had interrupted but never erased. Each memory reminded them that genuine care doesn't disappear simply because people spend time apart. Then came a question neither of them expected. Do you remember the day you told me never to stop believing in better days? There was another pause. This time it wasn't uncomfortable. It was filled with gratitude. Yes, came the quiet reply. I remembered those words more often than you probably realize. In that instant, they both understood something powerful. The smallest acts of encouragement can remain in someone's heart for years. Don't skip. Because something even more meaningful is about to happen. As the conversation continued, they realized neither had become the same person they once were. Life had taught patience. Challenges had brought wisdom. Time had softened old misunderstandings. Instead of talking about what went wrong, they began speaking about what they had learned. That changed everything. Sometimes healing doesn't begin when people find all the answers. Sometimes it begins when they choose to listen with understanding instead of judgment. The atmosphere felt lighter. Hope quietly replaced hesitation. One conversation had accomplished what months of silent wondering never could. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Just before ending the call, one final thought was shared. Maybe this wasn't the end of our story after all. Those words lingered long after the conversation faded. The night sky above seemed brighter than before. Neither person knew exactly what tomorrow would bring. But they no longer feared tomorrow. Because they had taken the first step. And sometimes, the first honest step is the one that changes everything. As they looked up at the stars, each carried the same quiet feeling in their heart. The future was no longer something to fear. It was something to welcome. And far beyond what either of them could see, another unexpected chapter was already beginning to unfold, one that would reveal a truth neither of them had imagined. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because the next chapter uncovers the surprise that had been waiting for both of them all along. Just when they thought the story had reached its turning point, another unexpected chapter quietly began. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The call had ended, yet neither of them moved. The silence no longer felt empty. It felt peaceful. For the first time in what seemed like forever, they weren't wondering what the other person was thinking. They knew. Not because every question had been answered, but because honesty had finally replaced uncertainty. One of them walked toward the window and looked up at the night sky. The stars seemed brighter than usual. A gentle breeze carried the fresh scent of rain, and with it came a feeling they hadn't experienced in a long time. Hope. Real hope. Not the kind built on imagination. The kind that grows when people choose courage over fear. Don't skip. Because the next few moments reveal something neither of them expected. Later that evening, while organizing an old drawer, they discovered a small envelope tucked beneath a stack of notebooks. Its edges were slightly worn. The paper had faded with time. Curious, they opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten note they had completely forgotten. The message was short. If life ever gives us another chance, promise yourself you'll never let fear speak louder than your heart. They read the sentence once. Then again. A quiet smile appeared. It felt as though their younger self had written those words for this exact night. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Across town, the other person experienced something equally unexpected. As they prepared to turn off the lights, their phone buzzed once more. It wasn't another call. It wasn't a long message. It was a simple photograph that had automatically resurfaced in their memories. The picture showed two ordinary people sharing an ordinary moment. No grand celebration. No dramatic event. Just genuine happiness. They stared at the image for several minutes. Then whispered softly. Maybe the best chapters aren't behind us after all. That single thought changed the way they looked at tomorrow. Don't skip. Because this story is leading somewhere beautiful. Neither of them realized that while they had both been waiting for the perfect moment, life had quietly been preparing them through every challenge they had faced. The difficult days had taught patience. The unanswered questions had taught understanding. The seasons of silence had taught appreciation. Now, when they finally reconnected, they were no longer the people they used to be. They were stronger. Kinder. More willing to listen. More willing to forgive. Sometimes the greatest gift isn't getting another opportunity. It's becoming the kind of person who knows how to cherish it. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As midnight approached, both of them found themselves smiling without any particular reason. There were still conversations waiting to happen. There were still dreams left to share. There were still memories yet to be created. But for the first time, none of that felt impossible. Because one brave decision had opened a door that fear had kept closed for far too long. The journey ahead would still require patience. It would still require trust. But now, they would no longer walk forward carrying the heavy burden of what if. Instead, they would move forward with quiet confidence, one honest step at a time. And somewhere beyond this peaceful night, another surprise was already taking shape, one that would remind them both that the most meaningful connections are not defined by perfect timing, but by hearts that never completely gave up on one another. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because the final chapter reveals why this ordinary evening became the beginning of an unforgettable new season. As dawn quietly approached, the world looked exactly the same, but inside their hearts, everything had changed. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The first rays of morning light slipped through the curtains, filling the room with a gentle warmth. It wasn't just another sunrise. It felt like the beginning of a chapter neither of them had believed they would ever see. Neither person rushed to send another message. Neither tried to force the future. Instead, they allowed peace to replace pressure. Sometimes the strongest connections grow not through constant words, but through quiet understanding. That morning, each of them stepped outside. The air felt fresh. The sky seemed brighter. Even the smallest details. A bird singing nearby, leaves moving gently in the breeze, the sound of distant laughter, felt like reminders that hope often returns in ordinary moments. Don't skip. Because what happened next became the confirmation they never expected. Later that day, they found themselves visiting a familiar place they hadn't seen in years. It wasn't planned. There was no special reason. Something simply drew them there. As they looked around, memories came flooding back. Not memories filled with regret, but memories filled with gratitude. They realized that every chapter, even the difficult ones, had shaped them into someone stronger, kinder, and more understanding. For the first time, they stopped asking, "Why did everything happen this way?" Instead, they smiled and asked, "What beautiful things are still waiting ahead?" That single question changed their outlook completely. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Meanwhile, the other person was writing in a journal. Not because anyone would ever read it. Not because they expected applause. They simply wanted to capture one honest thought before it disappeared. They wrote, "Today I chose courage instead of fear. Whatever happens next, I'll never regret finally speaking from my heart." They closed the journal with a peaceful smile. It wasn't the end of their journey. It was the beginning of living without carrying the weight of silence. Don't skip. Because the greatest lesson of this story is about to unfold. Life doesn't always bring people together in dramatic ways. Sometimes it simply offers another chance. A chance to listen more carefully. A chance to forgive more freely. A chance to appreciate what once seemed ordinary. Those chances often arrive quietly. Many people overlook them because they expect something louder. But those who recognize them discover that life's most meaningful moments are often the simplest ones. As evening arrived once again, both of them looked toward the future with a calm confidence they had never known before. There were still dreams to build. There were still conversations waiting to happen. There were still countless ordinary days ready to become extraordinary simply because they would face them with open hearts. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. And now, if this fictional story has reminded you of the importance of honesty, hope, or reaching out to someone you care about, let it encourage you to treasure the meaningful connections in your own life. Sometimes the greatest miracle isn't a dramatic event. Sometimes it's the courage to take one sincere step toward understanding, kindness, and reconciliation. Every meaningful story begins with a single choice. Every hopeful tomorrow begins with one brave moment. And perhaps that is the true message hidden within this journey. Never allow fear to write the final chapter of your story. Thank you for staying until the end. Remember, hope grows stronger whenever courage chooses to speak. And every new sunrise carries the possibility of a beautiful beginning.